From Tally to Cali,
it's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up! Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more Corner Pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, Cleveland rocks. Baseball taking it to TCU on the road. And is this the beginning of the end for FSU and the ACC? Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill in Tallahassee, Florida, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Daily lunch specials from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. for only $8.99 today. A delicious half-pound Black Angus burger made your way to order with your choice of a side for only $8.99 at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Tomorrow is trivia night. Corey Clark, reigning champ, had the strap around his waist. Watch out. And then Thursday night, bingo. Every day of the week, though, something awesome to do at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Something awesome to eat that's delicious. And cold beverages. Check them on out, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Check us out, warchant.com. 5-star ratings and reviews on Apple, please. Subscribe to the one on the right if you're on Apple. YouTube, like it, subscribe it. Yeah, that's right. What's up, Corey? Let's go.
Right, Aslan.
Yeah.
What an introduction.
Monday program, man. It's like this is a little bit of a lull, I guess, we have this week, and then it comes fast and furious towards the end of the week, and then we're into spring football, man.
I guess, but it was a pretty eventful weekend, starting with our man Alford on Friday, and then rolling into baseball and Matthew Cleveland. It was a pretty eventful weekend for the quote-unquote downtime.
All right, well,
and I'm sure you had a Tinder date to update us on.
Yeah. We'll get to that to the end.
Okay. All right.
We got groundbreaking, earth-shattering stuff. Corey, I want to use this sort of metaphor, but I don't want to, hit too close to home for a lot of viewers or whatever, a lot of listeners. It just feels like what happened over this weekend, and there was great reaction and analysis from Irish O'Fell, Gene Williams, and Tom Lang on our YouTube channel, as well as warchant.com, after a scheduled meeting that Michael Alford had with the Florida State University Board of Trustees, sort of outlining what's going on in the world of athletics. And just, I don't know, when you're in a relationship and you're married and somebody brings up the D word, there's no coming back from that. I don't know if we've been pushed to that level with the comments that Michael Alford made on Friday, but when you start talking out the fact that you're $30 million behind everybody else, what he used, your peers, and some other adjective he used that basically say the guys in state like Florida, they're going to start lapping us. When you talk about this huge discrepancy in revenue, and then your board of trustees president is basically saying it sounds like it's impossible to kind of make this up, and then you say it is impossible. Pete Thamel's article said some guy was like, it won't be 6 months, but 6 years things will change. Man, it's going to be a lot closer to 12, 18 months in my window, in my belief, I think. What changed in your mind from Friday? What did you take away from those comments?
Well, I think there was a reason it was said because, we all know this. This isn't like this just happened. I've been saying it. You've been saying it. We've all been saying it for years, but specifically the last year, once Texas and Oklahoma happened. This is crazy. You're not just $30 million behind. That adds up. Over the course of a decade, you're going to have $300 million less than the people you're trying to compete for national championships with. That's not fair. That's not equitable. But beside that, that's untenable. You can't. And I think that was I don't know what is either behind the scenes happening or what behind the scenes happened to make Alford kind of bring this up on this past Friday. It seems like there was an impetus somehow. But either way, man, it's not like what he said was earth-shattering because, if you want Florida State and Clemson and Miami, or just, I guess, for the purpose of the people listening to this show, Florida State, to compete nationally with the SEC and the Big Ten, you can't be $30 million less operating revenue every year, $30 million less revenue, $35 million less revenue every year. That's not the level playing field. So I think there was a reason for it. Quite haven't been able to pinpoint it yet. But there was a reason for why he said it when he said it.
And you see those words, right? Talking about it's impossible, and then seemingly bringing up the fact that the ACC is trying to create solutions, but they ultimately are most likely going to fall short, right? And he mentioned the fact that there's discussions about maybe unequal revenue sharing, and he's talking specifically about the amount of money this university, this athletic program brings to that conference and how much they get versus how much they're bringing in and how that's not really comparable or maybe even fair and equitable. I mean, using those kind of examples, I feel like this is laying the groundwork or fueling up the jet to take off and try to go somewhere. But I guess to your point, we don't know exactly where that other shoe is. Why come out and say this stuff now that's been floating out there for so long? But surely a guy of his stature that's been around in the game for so long, I mean, either posturing or sees things on the bend that he needs to kind of get out front of it now. And maybe, I don't know, maybe this kind of lets some conferences out there know, which obviously, I mean, Florida State, you can't be happy in this conference. Maybe this is part of it. Like, you can pay the money to get out of this conference, which is what, $120 million, Ira's article said? Mm-hmm. But that does not mean that you leave the conference, find a new home, and everything's great. It's still that whole grant of rights, which means that all the revenue that you generate from television still remains in the ACC, even if you leave. So it's like this two-pronged thing. But surely this lets the conferences out there know we're looking into it. We realize how much it costs, and we're really not that happy. It kind of feels like a passive-aggressive or maybe just shrewd way of also alerting people, because you need to have a landing spot. You just can't come out and blindly say, I want to leave, and you don't have a backup plan.
Well, right. And I don't think it was necessarily him saying flat out, let's leave, let's get out of here. He did bring up the revenue distribution, which I don't know how that would work, but I'm all in favor of it. It is ridiculous.
That's lipstick on a pig, though. No? That's lipstick on a pig.
No, it's more than that.
Okay,
if you take, let's say the schools that don't bring in any money, which is quite a few, but let's limit it to Syracuse, Boston College, Wake Forest. And I know Wake Forest is good at football, but they just bring nothing. Pitt, but whatever. There's 4 or 5 teams, or all of them. I don't care, except Florida State and Clemson. If you come up with a model, you could get closer to that number. If you make let's say you make $51 million, Boston College makes 21. You get $4.5 million of the Boston College money, so does Clemson. And then you get $4.5 million of the Syracuse money, so does Clemson. You get 4.5 of Pitt, so does Clemson. If you could come up with something, well, now you're at, what is that, 4.5 times 3? That's $13.5 million. So now instead of making $35 million in revenue a year, you're up to 48.5. All right. Now you're close to 60. You know what I mean?
They're $17 million behind annual.
Yeah, but instead of 30.
Right.
But that's it. You're at least, it's a start, right? Yeah. It's a start. And I know it seems outlandish, but he's not wrong. And I wrote the story. We've talked about it. You look at those YouTube numbers on top of the ratings numbers and just the revenue that Florida State brings in general. I thought that was an interesting, I don't quite know the methodology they used for it, but Alford said that if you took away just the TV revenue, if you took away the TV revenue that all these schools get, Florida State's the 3rd most profitable school in the country. Now, obviously, they're 14th now, I think, and that's behind, whatever. Maybe they're not even 14th. They're deeper than that. They're like 20th or 25th. But he said that if you took away the TV money, Florida State would be 3rd in the country in revenue generated. That is an attractive entity for one of these conferences to want. It's also an attractive entity for the ACC to want to keep happy. And maybe that's what Friday was about. Keep us happy. Keep Florida State happy because they pay the bills. They keep the lights on.
We haven't gone to the lawyer yet, but we're thinking of going to the lawyer. We haven't gone yet, though. Make it better.
But, keep them happy, right? Like, keep the schools that make the money for you happy, because if Florida State and Clemson leave this conference, which you absolutely, if this thing gets to 2036, you can absolutely guarantee that they are going to leave this conference. If the ACC wants to be anything at all in the next 20 or 30 years, they have to keep Florida State and Clemson happy. And you don't do that by splitting money with Wake and Boston College and Pitt and tell them to be happy with their $32 million. I know you're unhappy, but hey, you signed the deal. You signed the deal in 2015 or whatever it was, or 2016. You're the one that signed it, so you have to live with it for the next 20 years. Meanwhile, as Alford pointed out, not only does the SEC deal come up again in like a year or two, it will come up again in like 2034. So they'll get to go to the open market twice before the ACC gets to go to the open market once. That's how bad this deal is. In the ACC, if they try to basically hold Florida State and Clemson hostage, then you guarantee that Florida State and Clemson are bouncing. And there's gonna be a lot of ill will. So if there's any future at all for the ACC to be a power conference, they have to have Florida State and Clemson in it. And so you might, right now in this tenuous time in the future of college athletics, you might want to keep Florida State and Clemson happy. And if that means giving them a bigger share of the pie than the other schools that, quite frankly, don't matter because they don't pull in money, do it. Do it. And maybe you have a shot at keeping them. You probably won't, but that's your only shot, right?
Right. But 2036 feels so far away, Corey. I don't want to wait that long.
It's 13 years. I'll be 60. Brady will be, I don't know what Brady will be. Brady will be in his probably third year in the majors.
Right. All right.
Probably looking at arbitration, going into his arbitration hearing. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, man, it is a long, long way away. I think they obviously clearly the number one goal, I think, is to get out of the ACC.
Yes.
But if they have to stay in the ACC, he's trying to find an avenue where they can be competitive. And wouldn't the ACC, look, Wake Forest isn't ever going to win a national championship. Neither is Syracuse, neither is Virginia, neither is Duke. I guess neither is North Carolina. Georgia Tech is, you know what I mean? Like there are 7 or 8 schools, maybe 10, that have zero chance. Well, the future of college athletics and the money provided is all about football. So give the teams that are actually going to try to compete for national championships in football as many resources as possible to do it. So if you have to tell Boston College, I'm sorry, Florida State is going to make $50 million this year, you're making 20, deal with it. Then that's what has to happen because they're trying to keep our lights on and pay the bills. So yes, take the money. If it's, let's say it's $30 million for 14 schools. That's $420 million. Right now, Florida State gets 1/14 of it. As Michael Alford pointed out, meanwhile, they make up, I can't even remember the numbers. I wrote them down. I can't remember what they were. I thought he said 15% or 18% of the total revenue. Even though they're 1/14 of the 1/15 of the conference. So give them their just. Give them, what would that be? Give them 15% of the total revenue. Then they might be able to compete with Georgia and Florida and go win national championships for your conference in the most important sport that matters. But we'll see. And again, Clemson's been close. Clemson's won a couple. Not close, they've won a couple. Florida State has a chance this year. Just over the long haul, as these deals progress with the Big Ten and the SEC and the TV money, it just feels like the gap, as it gets wider and wider, it might just become almost impossible to keep up.
You're right. Florida State generates 15% of the revenue that comes into the ACC through media contracts, according to IR's reporting. And then the quote is, we only get 7% of the distribution.
Yeah.
From Alford. So
double it. Literally, right? Doesn't that seem fair?
Florida State and Clemson combined to generate about a quarter of the revenue, television-wise, for this conference.
Yep.
2 schools.
Yep. And that's also, that's not just 1 year. That's not just, Florida State was good in 2022, and they had some marquee games on different nights, so of course they did. No, this was for a while. I think this was from 14 to now, was when he did this study, or what the slides were. So this is almost a full decade's worth of data.
16,
nobody else. Okay,
sorry.
so think about that. That's even better for Florida State's purposes, because for most of that time, Florida State was awful, or at least not good, and they still made up 15% of the revenue. Imagine now that they could be good again, and just what that could do for your conference, what that's going to do for the money in your conference, will reward them. They matter. They just matter more than NC State. I'm sorry. If y'all want to be the Big East and just care about basketball, that's fine. But you have some people that are really trying to win national championships in football. Try to take care of them. You're the one that anchored them down to this ridiculous deal because the former commissioner just completely, I don't even know how else to say it, screwed every team in the conference for the next 2 decades. So it had no foresight at all. So you're tied down to this ridiculous grant of rights deal. At least keep the teams that are trying to win championships competitive. So yeah, give Florida State and Clemson 25% of the total revenue. They can keep up with Alabama and Georgia, I promise. That's a lot of money. What's 25% of, what do we say, 420? I can't do math, gang. You're looking at about $51 million, I think.
25% of 420 would be $105 million.
So you split that up between two, so that's $52.5 million. If you split it up between Clemson and Florida State, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just want to split it up equally because they make up about 25%, if you say these two schools get a quarter of the revenue since that's what they produce, they're
They
the
each
ones
get 12.5%. We're saying that we're like 12.5%.
Yeah, basically. So that's $52 million. Now all of a sudden, that's really close to Ohio State and Alabama. That's close enough that the competitive advantages you do have of recruiting in the state of Florida, having this fan base, having this history and tradition, you can compete with $52.5 million if the other teams are making 60 or 63. Okay. You can't compete at 31 when they're making 60.
All right.
Anyway,
all right.
Yeah.
All right,
Doesn't that seem fair?
Yeah, I like it. I feel better, Corey. All right.
That could get you to 2036, right, gang? Yeah. Right? You could have some more. You could have, hey, man, you got 15 more years of Snuggy Hill. Come on, gang.
And alien tape ads. I mean, where would be
all of it.
So,
come on now.
Let's drink it in. Let's also drink in some vitamin energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Promo code WARCHANT. BOGO. It tastes so good, the pink berry. It's delicious. It's almost knocked off Tango Orange in terms of my favorite vitamin energy. It energizes me for up to 7 hours, gets me ready to go to the gym, Corey. I know it does the same for you. And the good folks at VitaminEnergy.com, they're Florida State grads, several of them, and they're giving that promo code to our listeners, WARCHANT, BOGO. Buy anything off the website, VitaminEnergy.com, and you'll get an item of equal or lesser value for absolutely free. Corey, I know you're excited to get back down to Tallahassee, but aren't you excited to get all your new, your swag, your Vitamin Energy swag, like your gear, the merch, and the potions, the shots?
Yeah, man, I want to be able to represent when I'm out and about in the community. Yeah. Absolutely. By the way, did you do the sleep one?
That's tonight. That's going to be Sunday.
Okay. Right.
Man, I've been just doing a bunch of house chores, improvements. I've been naturally sapped. I haven't needed the help of it. So we've been rocking and rolling.
I was going to say, I actually felt it for the first time. When was it? Saturday. Because I didn't have them with me. I didn't have my vitamin energy, and I felt a difference.
But not bad, though. It wasn't like withdrawals. You're just like, well, wow, I'd feel better.
No, it was just like I felt when I was working out. I'm like, man, I just don't have the energy I've had when I've used the workout stuff. The sour apple that is my go-to.
That's because it's all natural caffeine in vitamin energy. You get no sugar crash, and there's no sugar, non-GMO, vegan, gluten, certified free. So check it out, vitaminenergy.com. Promo code WARCHANT, BOGO. Man, I mean, I've been sleeping on the basketball team all season with reason, though, Corey, right?
Sure, absolutely. Very good reason.
You can absolve me a little bit. And then you find yourself, down 23, 25 at half?
23 at half, 25 early in the second half.
John Ruiz, the heavy hitter, booster, one-man NIL operation down there, tweets in the middle of the first half when Miami is up by 21. FSU?
Yeah.
And felt bad, looked pretty dreary. You watched the game, though, Corey. You wrote about it and everything. I haven't watched it. I was tuned into the baseball game. What in the world happened? Miami obviously probably thought this was a repeat of last time they played Florida State and Tallahassee, where the Noles really didn't put up much of a fight. How can you explain Leonard and his guys finding a way to win and pull this off, losing the lead in the absolute final seconds, but then Matthew Cleveland pulling up, and this is the second time he's had a buzzer-beating shot in his career here at Florida State and sucked the soul out of an opponent. What were your takeaways from it? How did it happen, man? Illustrate it for us.
I actually think it's his third. I think he had one early on last year, like on a layup or a tip-in, I feel like. But it's definitely his second ACC absolute buzzer beater where, like, it used to be in my day, Aslan, when you'd hit a shot at the buzzer, the game would just end and everybody would walk off the court and celebrate and everything. Now they got to go watch the film, and it's like, it went through with 0.1. Yeah. So there's 0.1 to the clock and all that nonsense. Well, he's actually hit a couple of snares were even like that. But not Cleveland, man. The buzzer is sounding as the ball is airborne. It's been pretty remarkable, these two shots. As for the game, man, like, I'll be honest with you. So I was doing the game threads on the boards for baseball and basketball, and I wasn't.
I offered to help everybody. Corey just wanted to take it all.
No, it was fine. Brady's game was canceled. I was like, all right, I don't get a ton of free Saturdays. Let me do what I can for the guys here. And so I was watching. I was kind of half watching because it was. I mean, they were down like 16-4 out of the gate. Like you said, they were down 23 at half. They weren't competing. Every time I turned up from the baseball game, because I had it on the iPad and I had the game on the basketball game on the big TV, Miami was dunking another ball. Either they were dunking or laying it up. They shot 67% in the first half. Just no urgency, no defense, nothing to celebrate, nothing to be excited about, except Chandler Jackson hit a couple threes. They were down by 23 at half. It was ridiculous. And then I'm watching the baseball because that's getting closer and closer after Florida State took a big lead on Saturday. And then the basketball is getting closer and closer. And I'm like, what? How are they only down 15 right now? And then I started, once they got down, cut it to like 15, I'm like, okay, I'm dialed in for sure. I'm watching this. And I can't explain it to you, man. I don't know what happened to Miami. Now, that's not to take credit away from Florida State. They showed a lot of fight, finally. But as I tweeted about, it really might be the most unbelievable win in Florida State history. And you can, not just because they pulled off the biggest comeback in ACC history, but I can guarantee you the other teams that are right around there that were like, they came back from 23 down or 22 down or whatever record they broke, that team that broke the record that came back from 23 to win a game was probably a good team that had a bad half and then started playing like itself. This is a bad to horrible team that played horrible like it has for most of the year, and then somehow out of nowhere found a magic half to go score 54 points and actually get some stops on defense, create turnovers, create takeaways, get steals, get runouts, breakaway layups. Like, it was unbelievable. It's the most embarrassing loss of the Jim Larrañaga era. Right?
I don't know if they were joking on this, but they called it a quad 4 loss. Is that a thing? Oh,
yeah, no, I'm sure. Yeah, Florida State, I'm sure, is in the fourth quadrant. Yeah, because Clemson lost at Louisville earlier in the week, and that was a quad 4 loss. So yeah, there's a quad 4. Is a quad 1 win for the Noles though, gang? I don't know what it did to the RPI. They might be quad 3 now.
Seth Greenberg,
they might moved into quad 3.
Dude, they were doing like the halftime show, the Gonzaga game. They were showing highlights of it. And Seth Greenberg's like talking to Alfonso. I was like, Florida State, could they be a bitch stealer? They're playing pretty hot of late. I'm like, what?
No, he did not.
I swear. I know he might have been trying to needle us, but he said, I'm like, what?
No, but anyhow. He had to be joking. But yeah, no, it's just impossible. So anyway, my point going back to where I started was I had already written the game story at halftime. Yeah. I even had the headline, FSU blown out again by Miami. Seminoles tie all-time school record for losses in a season. That was all written. And, because I had written the whole story too, like Florida State never competed in the second half. The lead only got down to, like, I'd written the whole thing, and then I'm like, man, I'm going to have to change the story a little bit. Once they got it under 10, I'm going to have to let people know that at least they got it close. And then all of a sudden they're in the lead. And I'm like, what in the world? So yeah, I had to rewrite the whole thing, which I was happy to do because it was a cool moment for a team that's had very few of them this year. But yeah, an inexplicable loss for a good team. Miami's a good team, man. I know they were missing a guard, but the way they played in that second half, rushing shots, horrible turnovers, not getting back on defense, they played as if the game was over. Because why? And also, why wouldn't they think that? Leonard even brought that up after the game. I watched some of his press conference. He's like, look, they blew us out the first time. They were up by 23 on us at halftime. Of course they were going to have a lull because they knew the game was over. They knew they could name their score. Basically, that's me talking, not Leonard. But he did say he expected them to have a little bit of a lull. That's natural. That's human nature. But all of a sudden, with 10 minutes left, it's only like a 6-point game. And they still wouldn't guard Caleb Mills. Just, again, inexplicable. An inexplicable win. It's cool. As I told Brady when I was telling him about the school record, I'm like, well, unless Florida State wins the national championship, they are going to still break the school record for losses in a season. I guess they play North Carolina tonight at home, see if they can build on this big win. But yeah, they have 20 losses. The school record is 21. So unless they win out, which would mean winning the last 2 games of the regular season, the last one's at Virginia Tech on Saturday, and then every game in the ACC tournament, and then every game in the NCAA tournament, I mean, that would be, hey, man, why not, Aslan? You think
Seth
that can
Greenberg
happen?
says they're a bid stealer.
Yeah, they're a bid stealer.
Might go to the
Sure.
ACC tournament winning.
I have no idea what that means. That's I mean, maybe he thinks they could knock somebody off, like if they beat a bubble team.
Right. Yeah.
They could knock them out as a quad 4 team. A loss to them would kill your chances on the bubble. But and here's the thing: as cool as it was, it's one win.
Oh, stop it, Corey. It was cool. There we go. Period.
Okay.
No
right.
postscript.
But I mean, I was so done with them at halftime. Like once I saw layup after layup after layup, I'm like, this is antithesis of what Leonard Hamilton is all about. What in the world is this nonsense? They don't care. They're not even trying. And then you know what? For 20 minutes they really tried, and it was fun to watch. Whether he makes that shot or not, it was cool that they at least battled back into the game. Because so many times this year, like think about NC State, think about the first time they played Miami, they got down by 20 and then lost by 30. Like didn't even compete. So the fact that they were at least competing was cool to see. And then my man, of course, after Florida State somehow leaves a dude wide open on an underneath out of bounds play. I don't know how you leave that guy wide open. I don't know what Cameron Corn is doing. I know he's a freshman, but we're 30 games in now, man. How do you leave the guy you're guarding wide open like that, like it's a 3-point contest? It's insanity. But even after that, for Cleveland to call for the ball, because he knew Worley wasn't going to shoot it, call for the ball, take his one dribble, and rise up like that. That's an awesome moment for him. Maybe it's something to build on for the young guys. It's still been an awful year, but it was a really cool win. It was a really cool win against a program, frankly, you've owned for a long time now.
The NFL season's come to an end, so it's the off season, right? Spring football, we're waiting for it. But you can bet on anything, anytime, anywhere that's going on over at mybookie.ag. Use the promo code WARCHANT to claim a bonus of up to $2,000 depending on your deposit amount. To get the deposit bonus, just use the WARCHANT code. And it's simple. Just bet your deposit total once, and then you can withdraw and enjoy your winnings. With MyBookie, you can bet on the NBA, the NHL, the UFC, or play for a share of big cash prizes in weekly online blackjack tournaments. You can even bet on spring training. Blue Jays, Bravos, Braves, the betting favorite in this noon game, this noon tilt later today, Corey. So it's all there. If you can bet on spring training, I mean, good gosh. What are you waiting for? Get up there and have some fun. But do it responsibly, everybody. And use the promo code WARCHANT. And do it over at mybookie.ag. MyBookie. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. Use that promo code WARCHANT. Elsewhere in the world of Florida State athletics, Corey. Women's tennis winners on the weekend against Boston College 5-2. Men's tennis 6-1 over UCF. Beach volleyball season started, Corey. They're 5-0. With wins over Coastal Carolina, Cal Poly, Washington, Florida International, and South Carolina. Softball went 3-0 on the weekend. Took down Lamar, Florida Gulf Coast, and Troy. And Link Jarrett and the Noles going to Fort Worth. James B. was out there. Shane Kirkley was out there.
That's
Kirk
right,
Knoll.
yeah.
Pillars out there supporting the Noles. They had a good one, man. Florida State wins the series. Nearly swept it, but they take the series against TCU, which was number 8 in the D1Baseball.com poll. And they looked every bit as impressive as you would think a team would that goes into another person's ballpark and takes 2 out of 3. 10-1 on Friday, 10-8 on Saturday, which you mentioned you were keeping an eye on both those games. Got a little bit hairy there, but, you know, that's a good team, so I wasn't all that panicked. And then they fell 3-2, unfortunately, on Sunday. Man, this team's going to be good, Corey. This team's going to be a lot better, I think, than we had anticipated. Thank you, Link. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here, man. Sorry, Notre Dame, but you guys don't really care.
They don't care. I can promise you that. Yeah, not because they don't care about Link. I mean, you know, Link's a very good coach. They weren't happy to lose him, but, you know, we've seen Notre Dame baseball fans aren't even a thing. 300 people at their opener last year. Yeah, man, that was really impressive. It wasn't quite the super regional atmosphere you'll get, because I think the weather was a little cold and it was cold. So it wasn't the biggest of crowds, but it was still a good crowd. They faced some real adversity on the road for the first time. I mean, again, like I said, Jacksonville is probably half and half. This was a pro TCU crowd, clearly. And to go on the road, I think the most impressive thing about the weekend was Baumeister. I think that's the thing you build off the most.
Baumeister. It's Baumeister, by the way.
I'm going to call him Bo so I can say Bo knows whatever.
Bah.
Bo knows Meister.
And I'm going to go, bah.
Bah. There you go. Perfect. We got our rolls. So was it Baumeister?
Baum. It's on his Twitter profile. He has it phonetically spelled BAH-MY-STIR.
So it rhymes with paw and maw.
Correct.
Baumeister.
Yes.
Well, I thought that was the biggest takeaway from the weekend. We know Crowell can pitch. We know Jaime can hit. Cam Smith has ridiculous power. They're going to have a pretty good offense, although Sunday was a bit of a mess, but that's one game in a series. They were very good all week until that game. But Baumeister, golly, Clark, get it together. Baumeister is a very big development because
baller.
now that
Baumeister's a baller.
He's a baller. There you go. That's a good way to remember it. A pneumatic device. I think that like I said, you knew Crowell, you knew to a lesser extent Whitaker. Those guys are arms you can depend on. You didn't have any other arms that you knew you could depend on. Montgomery and Baumeister pitching like they did. Montgomery didn't get the win on Sunday, but I think he gave up 1 run in 5 innings. Baumeister gave up 0 runs in 6 innings or close to it. So those two guys combined against the number 8 team in the country to pitch about 11 innings with 1 run. That's really, really good. That's very, very promising here as we turn into March. But I still wonder, as good as the weekend was, and it was a great weekend overall. Offense was very good on Friday late and Saturday middle innings. What are you getting all you can out of Crowell? Because I was under the impression, I could be wrong, and this isn't fair, I thought he'd pitch twice a weekend.
Yes.
If he's only going to pitch 3 innings in a series, which now you've played 2 series, and he's pitched 3 innings in each series. He's pitched 3 innings on each Friday night. Now, he helped win you the game on the first Friday, but I feel like if he was available Sunday, you might have gotten yourself a sweep. And so, because you pitched Andrew Armstrong as many innings as you pitched Wyatt Crowell, right? Or close to it. That, to me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense from a staff development angle. Like, Andrew Armstrong's a nice arm. He's going to be a big arm for you. But should he be pitching as many innings as Wyatt Crowell?
Yeah, he's pitched 7 2/3. Wyatt's had 6. So
what about Oxford? What's Oxford at?
Oxford 5 innings, 4 appearances.
Well, so that's what I'm saying. Like, and he pitched some in the midweek game. Like, I just feel like they still haven't quite figured out what to do with Crowell, because that's too good an arm to have no impact the last 2 games of this. If he's a reliever, that's too good an arm to not pitch on Saturday and Sunday in 2 close games. Like, you had a 2-run lead in the 9th inning on Saturday. You didn't. You had the tying runs on base in the 8th inning on Saturday, and you don't go to your best pitcher then. And then you have a 2-1 lead in the 7th inning on Sunday, and you don't go to your best pitcher then. Okay, so is he just a Friday guy? Is that his whole role? Are we really looking at it as he's just going to be the guy that comes in after Baumeister?
Oh, because you almost had it.
Okay, Baumeister. Come on, man. After Jackson? J-Dog, yeah. That's my one, not even a worry. It's just the one angle I'm going to keep watching over the rest of the year, the rest of the month for sure, is what exactly do with Crowell. But overall, man, yeah, I would think Florida State fans are very excited about what they saw. And if you didn't see it, and trust me, that broadcast was horrific. If you did not see any of the games this weekend, or just reading about them or listening to them, you've got to be very excited about a team that could not win on the road at all. Goes on the road, wins 2 out of 3, wins 3 out of 4 over the week, and then almost pulls off a perfect 4-0 road trip. Had a 2-1 lead in the 7th inning, and then Nander made an error and they lost the game.
Oh, did he? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he threw it away. Now, they might have lost the game anyway. It was already tied 2-2, but he, with runners on first and second, ground ball hit to him with 1 out. He threw it away, allowed the go-ahead run to score.
What do you think about James Tibbs at first base?
I don't know if he can play the position well or not, but he's one of those dudes that will spike the ball after they turn a double play. He's pumping his fist. I like the fieriness of him at first base. I do, man. I love that stuff. Will Clark, playing him all the time back in the 90s as a Braves fan, I used to hate it, watching it, and I'm sure other teams hate watching Tibbs on the last part of a 4-6-3 or 6-4-3 double play, but I like an excitable first baseman. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I was more concerned about there's a couple throws that got away from him, and I don't know how about if those were like throw. I mean, I know there was a couple that the pitchers were fielding, and then the throws were wide of the bag, and it's kind of hard to put on him. But again, it's a weird. I mean, I guess we're learning, we're growing, we're going to figure it all out together. And they're 6-1, so I'm not complaining, but I just wonder if that's like the long-term solution defensively at first base that put Tibbs out there.
Yeah, he's got to learn. I don't think there's a spot in the. Oh, and by the way, Diamez Ross.
He didn't play Sunday, right?
No, he got injured on Saturday. We don't know the extent of it. To me, it looked like he hurt his finger on a bunt attempt. He definitely got hurt on a bunt attempt, and it was him bunting for a hit. It was not a called bunt. But he tried to bunt for a hit. To me, it looked like the ball hit his finger.
Off of his bat, then off his finger, or did he take the pitch?
No, I think the ball hit off his finger because he was holding it as soon as he got to the dugout. And I'm like, man, did he just break his finger trying to bunt that? Come on now. So that's not good. But it could have the dude that was doing the game for TCU on the broadcast thought it was a leg injury. So who knows, man? And Florida State turned a triple play. Yeah, and you got to see one of the outs. I've never seen a broadcast where they would literally show the guy hit the ball and then just show him running to first. It's like my ex-wife filming Brady instead of following the play. Like you've got all these other cameras. He hit a ball, a line drive to Tibbs at first base, and all they did, and it's not really even the camera person's fault. It's whoever's in the truck directing it. Yeah. Like, okay, now it's time to switch to where the ball got hit, man. Switch to the behind home plate cam. No. Or just watch the dude run all the way to first, and I guess there's a triple play, inning over.
How was it scored? So what, like Tibbs caught it,
Tibbs caught it. I think they were both stealing on the play. It was first and second, nobody out. It's a hit and run. Guy hits a line drive right at Tibbs. He catches it, throws to second to double that kid off. Then the kid that was trying to go to second is scrambling back to first, and they throw it to I think it's Jamie Arnold.
Yeah,
and he catches it and tags the kid out at first base.
Very nonchalantly, he did as a true freshman out there. Like, no big deal.
It's triple play. He sees that all the time. So yeah, but yeah, overall, that's a really good weekend. It's a really positive development. I think Florida State fans are excited about seeing a team compete like that on the road. Like not complete, get up 10-4. You know, that Saturday game was great.
Yes.
The Friday night game was great too because that was close late, and then Tibbs put it away with I think a bases loaded double. After they brought in a reliever, they might have walked Jaime to get to him. Jaime had a great weekend. Nobody did on Sunday, but he had a great Friday and Saturday.
Their 2 runs were bases loaded walks, like in the first inning.
Yes.
I think.
I mean, they had 2 hits. They had 2 hits. They had 3 errors and 2 hits. That's 2022 stuff, and 12 strikeouts. Or no, I think they struck out 14 times.
They struck out a bunch on Friday night too, but they hung tough in that game, and then they finally broke it open. So that was a good thing to see on Friday. But
I want them to.
Out a lot, but everybody.
And Saturday they only struck out 5 times, I think. But yeah, we got to knock down the strikeouts, and I don't like 3 errors, including the game loser. That stuff will be. But we're 7 games in. That stuff will be cleaned up. Nander made a bad error on Saturday too. He's had a decent start to this season, but these are inexcusable. But you can't make errors like this. The error on Saturday was just he's taking a force throw at second base, hits him right in the chest, and he drops the ball because he's trying to turn the double play too quick, and it cost him a run. You can't do that, man. You can't do that, especially not a 5th-year senior. That stuff has to stop. I'm sure he's gotten that message, and he knows that anyway. But, yeah, I mean, I liked what I saw from them in the late innings to bust it open. In the middle innings, after they took a 5-2 lead, TCU comes right back and makes it 5-4, and they go and score 5 runs and what we thought put the game away. But that's good to see. Like Cam Smith hits a home run. Ferrer hits another bomb to center. They got some big 2-out hits. They got runners home from third with less than 2 outs. All that kind of stuff that you have to do to beat good teams, they did. And 7 games in, 6-1, probably be ranked somewhere in the top 15, I would think. That's a really good start to the Link Jarrett era.
And it is very early, but good to see Colton Vincent being pretty productive at the plate, right? That was defensively, he'll make some. He's got a hose, and you're like, wow, that's nice. But then sometimes he won't cover home plate nice on a pass ball. But man, right now, again, early, but he's batting .409, slugging .727, and his on base is .480.
Well, what is he slugging?
.727.
Yeah, last year he slugged. I'm going to guess last year he slugged .280 or .300. I mean, it was ridiculous. He hit .180. He had like 6 extra base hits all year. So he's almost reached his whole output from last year in extra base hits in 7 games. And you're getting a better hitter than him back. The kid from West Virginia will be joining the lineup at some point.
Yeah,
maybe as a DH. Maybe he's the catcher just full-time, and Colton Vincent was like, thanks for your service. We don't know, but McGuire Holbrook will be a big deal for this team when he's available to play.
Colton Vincent slugged .231 last year.
Yeah. So he's jumped up 500 points.
Not bad.
I mean, look, it'll come down. I doubt my man is going to slug in the 700s this year. But even if he slugs in the mid 400s, that is a draft. He's a competent college hitter now. Going to switch hitting was huge for him. He had a big double in that game on Saturday. He had one of their 3 hits on Sunday. This is to get a guy any offense from him at all after what you saw last year is a really big development, and gives you a nice piece. Whether he it gives you more options. Whether he can stay at catcher and now Holbrook or maybe he becomes your DH and Holbrook's your catcher, whoever you like better defensively. But he's given himself a chance now to stay in the lineup when Holbrook is healthy again, which, if you'd have told us 2 weeks ago, I'd be like, yeah, no chance, man. We've seen enough of Colton Vincent to know that that's not going to play, but clearly he's improved.
I was going to try to look up and see how Notre Dame did in their season opener this year at home, but they haven't played one single home game. Their home opener.
No, that's what they do. Yeah, they go on the road and play in these tournaments or play on the road because of the weather.
Yeah, March 21st will be their first home game. So,
did they win? How'd they do?
How are they doing right now? They are currently, drumroll, 3-3.
Oh.
With wins over Lipscomb and Greensboro, North Carolina, Greensboro.
Oh, they were playing UNC Greensboro. That's funny. I'm sure they scheduled that because Link.
Yeah.
And then Link leaves, and they're still playing. It's the Link Jarrett Bowl. But now obviously they lost Link, which hurts a lot. But they lost a lot of experienced talent off that team from last year too.
Florida State's got a ridiculous homestand coming up, like 8 games or something like that.
Yeah.
It starts Wednesday against USF, 5 p.m., commute-friendly start. So, and then this weekend they'll have Florida Gulf Coast at Hauser. So get on out, support the Noles.
I'll be there for a couple of them probably.
When you get into town? I don't want to blow your
Getting into town on Thursday because we got we get our luncheon thing on Friday. So I'll be in town Thursday. Brady's got a game on Thursday, so I'll leave after that and head on back to Tallahassee.
All right, we'll do some more shows.
Hey, what about the Tinder, buddy?
Oh, yeah. All right, so there's
so we got that. So to recap,
yes.
You went on a Tinder date on Tuesday and liked it. Went well. It was like a drink, right? It wasn't like
correct.
a long one.
Yeah, one drink. Yes, one drink.
But you liked it. You felt like there was a connection there, at least a little bit, and you get along and had good conversation. Yeah. And then on Thursday, you had a Tinder date with someone else.
Yes, correct.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Slight problem. She's really good looking. Like she's.
Well, that is a problem. I can see why you classify that as a problem.
She also has like a really, really great career.
Uh-oh.
And she's a former Division I athlete. So I'm like...
Is it Brooke Wyckoff?
Stop it.
I'm just kidding. Happily married.
Is she?
Brooke's happily married.
I was about to say. Scratch her off the list. It went really good. It went really good, though. But I'm just like... I almost had imposter syndrome, but I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I was like just playing with house money the whole time. It was crazy because like I'm pretty confident, and like a lot of my arguments and complaints about dating in this town is like it's just there's not all that many women I'm very like physically attracted to, and then the ones that I am aren't physically attracted. Sorry, Corey, I'm a shallow pig. Everybody, I want to be attracted to the person I'm spending my time with. I'm a horrible human being.
You're saying that the women, the female population in Tallahassee isn't that attractive. Are just the ones you see that come up in your...
Well, yeah, and these dating apps. Listen, they're either like 25, which I can't. I wish I could. But I've gone on dates with 25-year-olds, and it's just it's not happening anymore. I think I've kind of hit that sort of wall. And then, I don't know, like, and then again, women my age are not aligned with what I want long-term or whatever. That's for another discussion. But, so it's like, wow, she's like... Because and it was funny because she made some sort of comment like she's only been on 4 dates. They've all been horrible. One of the guys looked absolutely nothing like his photos and like almost bragged about it when he got out when he met. He was like, yeah, no one looks like their photos. That's how this thing works. And I was like, it's fine. I get it. Here's a photo of me from like a wedding 2-3 weeks ago. And then she was like, oh, no. I didn't mean to sound shallow. I'm like, no, it's fine. I'm the audience. I get it. It's cool. And she looked better than her photos. So, like, you never expect that going into it. And she seems really nice, like genuinely like a nice human being. So all this to say, like, who am I? Do you know what you're doing here? So
you're in your head. So I guess this is the question everybody wants to go, and then we'll get out of here. So that happened on Thursday.
Right.
Was there any communication since as we record this on Sunday night?
Yes, on Friday.
The next day? Does she know what you do, like who you are and who you know? And
yeah, it was funny when I told her I worked. She's like, so what do you do? And I'm like, oh, and this is the thing. Like, I don't know. I feel like my job is pretty straightforward. Like, I do video for a website that covers Florida State sports.
Yeah, but you do more than that. You're a podcast host, too.
Yeah, but then it's like, oh, what kind of podcast? I'm like, oh, it's all about murder. So like, oh my God, I love it. I'm like, I'm just kidding. It's about football. They're like, oh, gross. Right. I'm going to explain it to her. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I work for a website that covers Florida State sports. And she's like, what's the name of the website? I'm like, Warchant. She's like, oh my gosh, like one of my best friends, like loves Florida State and is always on the website. So, buddy, if you're listening to this, I don't know, just pretend I didn't go on it. It's fine. I went on a date with a girl the night before. It's totally fine. It's normal. I don't feel
2 days before.
2 days before.
Yeah, you get a 2 day window. That's fine.
So,
well, that's awesome, Aslan. I'm happy for you.
We'll see how it goes, kids.
We should probably stop talking about it because it might get back to her. Man, he was going on and on. He thinks y'all are in love. I don't want that to be happening. So, hey, you don't care. Be flippant about it.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, man, whatever happens, happens. Bro. You know, that's what I tell Brady all the time. Be aloof. Yeah. They love aloof.
You know who doesn't like aloof for contractors? My kitchen, my shower's never going to get done, everybody. But my shower actually does function. So, Corey, real quick, if I just complain about this. Plumber comes to install my new shower, like the new fixtures or whatever. And I give them the valve. The valve's got, you connect all the pipes to it. They leave. The tile guys come up. So the tile guys then basically put up drywall, but it's not drywall. It's made of cement inside the shower because they're going to tile over that. Well, the plumber does not install, like, my tub spout because, like when you turn on the bathtub, you've got this thing spitting out all the water. They didn't install that. The tile guys just put the wall up over there like everything is fine. I've got to call the plumber. They've got to knock out a different wall to not screw up the cement wall that the tile guys have pulled up. I've got to get a drywall guy to fix that. Plumber comes back 2 days later and is like, oh, yeah, we can't install this tub spout after all. There's something wrong with the threading on it. Then my freaking carpenter flakes out on me 3 days in a row. So I've been taking L's here in my shower renovation. I'm not happy about it, Corey. So the whole reason me bringing this up is kids work really hard so that you can just buy an awesome house that's totally ready when you buy it and move into it. Because renovating a house when you live in it is the pits.
That's ideal. Yeah, you're not. I feel bad for you, buddy. Every weekend it's something else.
But I'm getting my bathtub refinished today, so there's only one more day I'll have to shower at the gym, and then I'll be able to shower in my own house again. I've been able to shower, and I just don't have a tub spout, which is really weird, but it's fine. It's great.
It's fine. It's fine. Cool. You could shower at what's her name's house.
Hey, there we go. Touche. We're done, everybody. But we're not done for the week. We got plenty more coming up over at warchant.com. We'll do at least 2 more shows for you folks. Probably a live show, Corey. I know you're getting back Thursday, so maybe Wednesday?
Maybe. Tenuous, but we'll try.
Would you rather do it Thursday? We don't have to do a whole planning session. We've dragged the show out for like 8 minutes.
We'll figure it out.
Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock, 93.3 FM in Tallahassee, as well as Warchant TV. That's our YouTube channel. It's totally free. 5-star interview on the way up, please. Thumbs up, please. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thank you for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.